Okay, so do not play the politics, just try to understand what is happening in India right now. See, the two forces, if we will say, the Brahmanism and Hindutva, they are the same terminologies in terms of value, but distinctly produced to the people, you know, because they want to create the more impact, more forces. How you were going to win a cultural war? You can say that the war, and basically when you know that your cultural roots are not so long, it is just uh, like young and very new in the historical perspective. So definitely you have to create more literature, you have to create more words that belongs to that particular idea. So basically the idea of Brahmanism and Hindutva revolves around the Varna system. Varna system which consists like four category. You know, the top, on the top mon Brahmin, then the Kshatriya, then the Vaisya, then the Shudra. And there is a fifth category which is not ever the part of Hindu, you know, or Hindutva. It's the untouchables, which right now is known as the scheduled caste. And the other which remain in India are the tribals, basically scheduled tribes. So scheduled caste and scheduled tribes basically are never the part of Hindutva or Hindu, you know, because when you are talking about a nation, you are talking about everything, right? And in India there are many different religions also established. They do not belong to the Indian landscape, like the Christianity and the Islam. So saying that this whole country is right now is represented, geographical representation as an Hindu, or Hindu is a geographical identity, is completely wrong. You know, so what the Hindutva basically did, they are trying to create this perception throughout the history, like after independence, that whatever in India having known as the spirituality or a spiritual roots is basically from the Vedas. But that's not the correct. There is a phase before Veda when people have their, like if you will see about the Harappan civilization, you know, so all these old civilizations have their philosophy, the way of living, that roots in the realism, that roots in the truth, you know. And very much like samadhi is very old, it's not like that only in the Indian. Yeah, basically it was so rooted in the Indian soil that people able to understand what the samadhi is. But it's not that purely it belongs to one of them, right? One of the religions, so it belongs to all of them. Nirvana, samadhi, different way to be what we are, rather than to only perceive the things. And when you will read the Veda, it is nothing more like that there are hymns and everything, so all completely filled with the karma kand rituals. So what the Brahmanism did and what they are doing right now is trying to bring all of them under the one flag. You know, their whole project is to bringing all them in the one flag and fighting with the other cultural religious entities which is present in the India. But they do not want the reform with him, okay? Because India at a time like before 1947, where the colonial colony of the British government, so that create a huge impact, and they start being reform, you know, start making some reform in their culture and society, so that British people and the world will do not consider India as country of mass human rights issues. So they did a lot of changes, a lot of reforms, but that reforms I will not say is their own, you know, from the heart. Even right now if you will see the caste system in India, it is completely like the upper caste Hindu, which are basically the Brahmanism and Hindutva forces. They do not want the Dalits and OBC, other backward caste peoples, to uh, represent in the institutions, to represent in the politics, to represent in the economy. You know, they want them as a labor, as they used to. Because you know, when some slavery things, like slavery things you can say, or exploitations keep on happening throughout the year, throughout like from the thousands year as they claim. and definitely there is a illiteracy in Dalits and OBC categories. So when you will try to understand their perspective is to bring all the forces under the Brahmanism and Hindutva and then implement the categories in a new form, right? The constitutional categories are there for reformation, but they are not ready to reform. So reformative category they are using as a representative category of the Hindutva, right? And they want to create the hurdle for every categories, so they do not able to get representations, right? And recently, like the caste census data we are talking, that how many people belongs to which caste, because India is completely republic of caste. Everybody think here, every thought process, the Indian thought process are completely linked to the this conservative and orthodox understanding of caste system, right? So like one age belongs to Brahmin, he is going to marry in the Brahmin. Now most Brahmin girls are marrying in the other religion, like mostly in Islam, Kshatriya going to marry in the Kshatriya, best like the Agarwal and other caste which basically belongs to this going to marry within their caste. So all those upper caste peoples are maintaining this status quo by intercaste marriage. And the other factor is they are discriminating in the institutions, like when you some like Dalit peoples went in a institution, so they try to create a force and repulsive force so that they can make them in a condition, they try to bring them in the conditions where they either suicide or leave the university, like in PhD or even in basic courses somebody's find out that you do not belongs to the upper caste. So this is the Brahmanism and Hindutva is the core problem of India and the next slavery project. And there are RSS group and all these, their mind is like completely work in this manner, although they show that no, we want the India's improvement, but how they will improve in 75 years? Like you can say that 99% officers group A used to be from these groups, the upper caste group, Hindutva group, but they do not able to make this nation proud in any field, right? Diversity, but this diversity, caste diversity is not the diversity, this diversity is not a unification project. This diversity is the separation project for them, and they want to maintain this, right? And now is on the next generation youth from all one, because I consider Brahmanism and Hindutva not as a caste anymore, it is a force right now, and which can be embedded in anybody's, you know so be alert from this. And I want, if you able to understand me, then try to understand that how these forces are creating an environment which is very anti-social, anti-national, and anti-human. Okay, anti-social is okay, but if it is anti-human, the development, the morality, anti-moral, anti-ethical force, that is going to create a very mass, you can say murder type of situation, very mass murder, in the sense you can say if you are not giving anybody representation, then definitely it's a murder, it's a mass murder or mass exploitative natures. Again, they are trying to revive the mass exploitative nature of society, so they want to reestablish that exploitative nature rather than making the system transparent, making the system more responsible, making the education available to everybody. So you will find that in India there is everywhere two tier systems, in education, in governance, in politics, everywhere there is two tier system. Okay. Okay, so be alert, we will talk on this later on.